Some property developers in China are going to great lengths to attract home buyers.
实际上这辆车啊，就是我的了。
One offered cars and parking spots as a gift, while another promised to give the buyer a Mercedes-Benz with the purchase of a villa. One developer even offered to accept garlic as part of the down payment. The ads suggest that for Chinese property developers, demand is down. Since the summer of last year, home sales for China's 100 biggest property developers have tumbled. Home sales, of course, are not just struggling in China. In the Western world as well, home sales have been under pressure after a record surge in prices. Inflation has become a problem and fears of a recession are growing. But in China, there are a number of different factors, including concerns about the debt levels of property developers, as well as COVID-19 lockdowns. China is the world's second largest economy, so anything that happens within its own borders and in its own economy has ripple effects for the rest of the world. So here's how the government and property developers are rolling out measures to help boost home sales. China's real estate market has become perhaps the most important industry of all in China's economy. The estimates tend to be that the real estate market accounting for between 25%, even up to 1/3 of China's economy. Home prices had just gone up every year for several decades. It also enriched a lot of property developers and had them trying to race ahead of one another to buy more land and to bring in more pre-sales so that they could fill their coffers and buy ever more land. And that model was perhaps most clearly exemplified by a company called Evergrande that is one of the country's biggest property companies as well as one of the most indebted. It quickly found itself pushed to the brink of collapse. Chinese regulators last year began to take the most concrete steps that they have taken yet to try and curb developers' debt levels. That created a crisis at Evergrande, which jolted consumer confidence in the market, causing concerns about China's economic growth, as well as whether other real estate companies could fall too. In addition to the regulatory pressures, developers also faced another foe in the form of COVID-19 lockdowns. It kept potential home buyers in many cities and provinces across China homebound. So both property developers and Chinese government officials have started to take some steps to arrest the slide in home prices and maybe even to perk them up a little bit. On the government side, officials in dozens of cities and other jurisdictions across the country lowered mortgage rates and made it easier to buy an apartment if you're young and on the market. Meanwhile, among property developers, they're advertising free gifts with a home purchase. Some have gone to even more creative measures. For example, one company is giving out an actual pig, while another is offering job opportunities. The response from the Chinese public has been mixed. If you look online, you'll find some comments that talk about interest in buying an apartment, but you also see some skepticism online too. It does seem gimmicky to some people, and for many people, the question is whether or not they feel confident going out and buying an apartment. The real question, of course, is how effective these policies can be. It's probably going to rely more on big macroeconomic factors rather than on what freebies developers throw in or what incremental loosening measures one's city or town has. To build at the pace that China has been building at for the last few years consumed a vast quantity of inputs that were acquired from outside of the country. So any sharp slowdown that we see in housing is going to have impact on commodity producing countries all around the world. And so that is something that people all around the world are going to be watching, whether the Chinese home buyer comes back and whether these developers survive and thrive.